There we go.
What's up?
Hey, you go by Max?
Yeah, it's better, People understand it better. It's hard to pronounce in America. So my real name is Mauro, but nobody can pronounce it right. And I give up at some point and I'll say, it's just Max, it's fine.
Okay. So, all right. So you kind of know the format here. So we will start off. Go ahead and give us your name, where you're from, and kind of your origin in barbecue, how you started.
Yeah, so I'm Max. I'm originally from Italy. I moved in the United States in 2007. New York was my first city. And then about 2011, moving down here in Texas. And since then was the real golden age when a lot of stuff were happening, especially in Austin area. So the barbecue was switching for old school barbecue to kind of this sort of new school offset smoker and so forth. And I was right there at the time. And I started working, I worked at Carolyn Barbecue, with a food truck in Cesar Chavez, then a little bit of Cooper's, not for very long. Cooper's is known for old-fashioned barbecue. They cook hot and fast over there. Then Franklin Barbecue in Austin. Then I never worked for an extensive period of time. A good friend of Terry's Black, Mark, from Terry's Black in Austin and Dallas. So I do a lot of collaboration. And then after Franklin, basically, I work at Loro. Actually, previous Franklin, I work at Loro as an Asian smokehouse, which Franklin is somehow involved in there. So that's where I met Aaron. And then I ended up working at Franklin. And after Franklin, I started doing this Texicana consulting, barbecue consulting, which basically what I do is it started out of Instagram. People start contacting me, question and stuff, and then lead towards, okay, I'm opening a restaurant. Can you come and help me out? And yeah, and then since then I've been busy. It's been almost 2 years now that I do it. And I go from every city, different countries. It helps because I speak 4 different languages, none of them well, but they help. They help to to spread like barbecues. Barbecue's big, Yeah. I think Smoke Work, what's up? So I was the other day with Jimbo, which is the welder, the owner actually.
Yeah, Jimbo.
Smoke Work, amazing smoker. Amazing. I was just about to edit a video, probably gonna on my YouTube channel. You guys check it out. A lot of offset smoker, barbecue life and stuff. And basically, I try to keep my barbecue channel. It's just an enlarged conversation. I don't define myself as a YouTuber by any means.
Yeah.
I'm just figuring things out as I go to edit video. But yeah, YouTube, this conversation you have through Pitmaster, I try to keep my YouTube at the same level. So I try not to be the man so much, like I'm always right or whatever. I'm just, let's have a conversation, let's chat. I do this way, and I'm very fascinated about what happens inside the meat, thermodynamics and all this kind of stuff, new recipe, new way of, grilling, smoking, and doing both, reverse searing, all this kind of stuff. So, yeah. And I was over there at Austin Smoke Works. Amazing pizza. I really like it.
So why barbecue? Like when you came to the U.S. and you said you were in New York, what perked your interest in barbecue? What was one of the first things you ever cooked on, cookers wise, that you said, this is what I want to follow, this is what I want to do?
So the very first barbecue that I had, the real one, I could tell like Texas style and so forth, was at Franklin. So at Franklin, I was hanging around in Austin, and I heard this place. I didn't know much about this place. I was intrigued about barbecue and grill. It was more grilling. So previously, my barbecue life, I was a chef. So I was just cooking, grilling, and all kind of sort of stuff. And I always liked meat. There was always that about me. I tried the brisket. I remember it was brisket, and I ordered a quarter of everything. Especially with the brisket, I saw, whoa, what is this? I really gotta have this. I want to learn how to do that. And then instead of looking for a job in a kitchen, I started looking for a job as a pitmaster. And that was on the background of my head was mainly the reason why I moved in Austin, because it sounds interesting, the whole barbecue scene. But I never experienced a well-done barbecue before. That was my haha moment, So let's do that. So that brought me to do it. And then that was my my experience. And also, there is something about barbecue that you're more like a baker. Sometimes a chef life, you're secluded in a corner, you live inside a kitchen and so forth. I grew up in a farm, so I come from a family of butchers also. So I have that in me. The fact to butcher things and working with my hand and so forth. Most of the time, especially if you're working in a corporate job in a restaurant, you're a bunch of tweezers and stuff like that. I was getting a little bit tired of that kind of life. So when you go home, you're a pit master. You go home, you feel like more a mechanic, a lumberjack, a baker. Feel like So I like the kind of factor about barbecue.
So let me ask you personally, at your house there, or wherever you live, do you have any cookers there, any smokers there where you're at?
Yeah, I do. I have an offset smoker. I have a barrel, pit barrel. I have a normal Weber kettle. This one. The fact that when I shoot in video, though, I'm always hanging out with friends. So for me, it's better. I enjoy even more. I cook by myself, but I enjoy hanging out. And sometimes I'll just go there, help out with the shift, and then maybe I'll throw my experiments in the smoker and stuff like that. So that's why I'm keeping. And they like also because it's a sort of publicity for their spot. So I like to keep it their way.
That's pretty nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you have an offset.
It's not hard to find barbecue spot at all.
Right.
I've been around, so I know everyone.
So what size offset you have at the house?
It's just a small offset. It will be. It's kind of handmade. It would be about like 250 something. It's not exactly 250. It's a little bit bigger than a 250. But that's pretty much it. Yeah.
And then what's your thing that you like to cook for yourself on a smoker? What's your favorite thing? Like if you want to cook something for you, what are you gonna make?
What I do for mostly for time purposes, I do a lot what they call a reverse sear to make it more complicated than what it is. But I like to smoke meat and then sear it. An example: picanha, tri-tip, all this sort of relatively medium small size that you can knock it down pretty quick. You don't have to stay there all night. Because you gotta remember, I already have a long day by cooking in places.
Yeah.
When I go home, I want something quick. Ribs is also good. 4 hours, you get the ribs done. Or you can do like hot and fast. You have the ribs in an hour.
Honestly speaking, how often do you eat barbecue for yourself? I mean, I cook a lot, and I don't eat that much barbecue. I grill for myself. I'll grill steak or stuff like that. But like barbecue on the smoker, I rarely cook for just myself.
Because brisket, not a whole lot, honestly, because I'm just so rich and so forth. But sometimes, because it's all a matter of consistency, and I'm very happy to see that I was one of the first who started, Texas barbecue, and I was to start hooking up, going Brazil, churrasco, asado, grilling. But until 3-4 years ago, you wouldn't see much grilling going on in Texas, at least in the area. It was all about barbecue. Now you're seeing more grilling also be included in the barbecue menu, but before it wasn't at all like that. The consistency of the meat changed drastically. So, and sometimes if you eat too much barbecue, sometimes you just want a nice ribeye, a nice piece of meat that you can. They have the kind of more meaty flavor. They have more different consistency, I guess. So brisket not a whole lot, but I'm pretty carnivore. I eat a good amount of meat, I will say.
Okay, and so now you're traveling and you're taking these skills you've learned and you're consulting and you're going all over the Americas at least, and you're taking some of it back to Italy, right? Some of the methods?
Usually so far I've done consulting in Brazil, Italy, Germany, and New York. I went to Michigan also. But yeah, so there is a demand about that. You gotta know what you're doing for sure, because most of the time, especially in barbecue, you have a system, and in Austin works certain kind of barbecue. If you go in Kansas City, it works another kind of barbecue. If you go in Italy, they don't even know how to spell barbecue. So you have to adjust the way you're going with the taste. It's a little bit like doing competition. it doesn't really mean that your brisket is not good. But the brisket in Texas, they might not be appreciated in North Carolina. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's kind of very similar when you're doing consulting. You cannot go, oh, here is Texas style, everybody loves it, that's the best. It's not going to work that way. I mean, in New York, the amount of sugar I put on those ribs, to me, was crazy. But people love it, you know.
Right.
This in Austin, they'll throw it in your face, you know, and saying, what is...
Someone said they heard you cooked a whole bear. Is that true? You cook a whole bear?
There is Clay, 250 small. I'm waiting for the cook at your place, Clay. Clay's a good friend of mine. Clay's
Okay.
one of the best guy in barbecue.
So, what do you want to do? I mean, what do you want to achieve? Like, what's your next step? Are you trying to get your own place? Are you just fine with the consulting?
I just don't know. I mean, I'll go with the flow. I'm very much a serendipity guy. Like, whatever happened. I'll try to do the best I can, and with a lot of, you know, a lot of passion. This is what I think. When you put a lot of passion in something, whatever you do it, you know, it's gonna be good. Good stuff gonna happen. And I always use their rule. You know, I always overwork. I was working for somebody else more than what they were paying me for. When I do consulting more than what I'm paying me for. So I'm trying always to overdo it stuff. And good things happen. You know, I never thought that I would have a YouTube channel. I never thought that I would have a website. I never thought that I would be in barbecue for so long. So I'm making a living. You know, I'm not I don't need $1 million to get by. You can make a decent living with consulting. It's cool. It's fun. So far, my idea is, because this was the biggest question for me. Do I want to live in Texas, or do I want to live out of Texas? Now I just understand that Texas is good for me. I consider Texas home, you know, my second home after Italy. So there is that. Now, barbecue, the big limitation in barbecue, that you're good as your next brisket. And I don't feel it for a guy for a one-man show, it's very hard to do barbecue all the rest of your life. It's just, you know, it takes a lot of energy, time, and whatever it is. So I found that kind of a little bit challenging. For me, I'm getting a lot into charcuterie, a lot in cheese making products. So my ideal goal for happiness, which my happiness is different, you know, the ideal success for me is to be happy with what you're doing, not essentially money or opening 65 restaurants. If that makes you happy, good. But if you're doing that just because you want to be cool or you want to make money, once you're not cool anymore, because you can't be always the coolest guy. And once you can make money, then what you're going to do? You're going to kill yourself. So for me to be fulfilled would be like to have a farm, like a destination like Snow's Barbecue, like a destination barbecue that you can go 1 or 2 days a week, having just barbecue once or twice a week, and then having a farm, you know, product, wine, cheese, and stuff like that. Like very much, you know, selling whatever you can produce in that farm. That would be the ideal happiness for me. Yeah.
In Texas or in Italy?
Yeah, Texas. I think Texas. In Italy, I already have a land and everything. So I have a strict connection with Italy because I own not a lot of land, but you know, like 10 acres of land, and I have a house. So I have this holiday apartment, which now my parents run it. And so at least once a year I'm in Italy. Make olive oil over there, wine. For my, you know, we have I grew up my own pigs and shit. For me, it's normal to have that kind of stuff. I want almost to replicate that in United States, you know.
Nice, very nice. So I don't know if this is something, but is there a smoker style, something you have not cooked on yet that you want to cook on? A certain type of smoker, a certain brand.
Type of smoker, certain brand. I'm one of these guys that I know a lot of people just because I like to hang out. So I did cook in all kinds of situations, you know. The one that I like the least, and I'm probably not the only one, is pellet smoker. You know, to me, I'm not a big fan of it. I can throw something on it, not a big fan. But besides that, they have, you know, a smoker, they always have, I call it the personality. The smoker, they cook in a certain way. It's very, also when you say, you know, another question that I have asked often is, what's the best in Austin? Who's the best in Austin? Who's the best in Austin? Man, there's a lot of best in Austin because they are damn good. They're also in Houston and all, you know. it's very hard to say who's the best according to what, you know. It's very hard. Same with the smoker. Now you have a full insulated smoker with the elbow, all aerodynamic and stuff. It's very efficient. But maybe if you're used to cook on a semi-insulated with a collector, it won't be as it won't be, you know, you won't feel as comfortable, you know. So who's the best? Well, it depends the way you like to cook, you know.
And I don't mean specifically the best. I guess what I'm asking you is there a smoker type that you have not cooked on that you would like to cook on? So, like, have you cooked on gravity-fed smokers? Have you cooked on?
Yeah. Especially in Italy, that's all you find. There's a gravity-fed smoker, like Peacemaker, and this like the cabinet, small cabinet smoker. ProQ is big over there. ProQ is big over there in Italy. JNR is getting there. Some model, even though it's very expensive. All these smaller devices. And a lot of pellet is very big in Italy, just because the law, they're so restrictive about it. I've done a lot of cooks in all this. When I'm in Italy, it's all about that. Very few people have offset smoker. Did I know 3 people that own an offset smoker in Italy? You know?
Okay.
So it's all about small cabinet smoker, very efficient, gravity fed, and so forth, you know?
Like myself, you know, I have a gravity fed, I have a cabinet, I have an offset, I have a pellet. I have, you know, maybe that's just my personality. You know, maybe I'm a little bit bipolar in a way, because I enjoy cooking on all of these, you know, and I enjoy producing food on them and stuff like that. But, you know, somebody that, you know, like you, that's been in the restaurants and in the business end of it, have you pretty much smoked on every big maker of offset?
Yeah, but my thing is this. That is my personal style. I like to have, and I said driving a car, I like to have a control. It's got to be me, the shovel, the fire, and the meat. The more stuff are in between, the less I like it, you know. So for me, the pellet is the one that I like the least, because there's not much, what are you going to do with it? You know, there's not much room in there. I love the offset the most, just because you can really, and especially if you get good in fire management. That's why I make the video on my Texicana BBQ on YouTube. Just because if you get good in fire management, it's you can manage, you know, the way you're cooking. You can really turn the cook upside down and do the other way around. So that's personally, that's me. Other people, I understand, they want to download an app, stick a prop there, go to bed, check the brisket. You know, I'm all about the different style. You know.
Yeah, no, I took a lot away from your fire management video. Just a lot of little things about even how you use the ash to kind of control the wind or the airflow and things like that. That's all really, really good stuff that, you know, people don't think about, you know. So I definitely enjoy that.
Yeah, that is basically one way. So if I had to show a new guy, in reality, that's what happened. It happened that this new guy comes in the smokehouse. Consulting consists me in training people that never smoked before, or very little, or never with an offset, or never with a JNR, or with a Bewley, whatever, and train them. So if I have to train a new guy, I'll tell you, this is the best way, the easiest way you can control the fire. Then, of course, there is another million way, but that is the most easy, you know, kind of, I would say, downproof way of up, down, or, you know, to control the fire. Then each bit master, I'm sure, which is sometimes very hard to explain, to fully explain on YouTube, because then there is also the attention retention from people.
Right.
You know, you can't make a half-an-hour video about this and that. You know, there is also that. You know. Yeah. So, but yeah, just to have an idea on you, basically the main idea, if you get it, for people who get anything about the video, is that you're not managing the fire. You're really managing the air that gets into the fire. Once you understand that, you don't go anymore in terms of step 1, step 2, step 3. But once you have the main concept, okay, you see the fire in a different way. You know, that's the main goal.
Yeah. So let's say you set up this establishment in Texas, where you got your farm, you got everything. You got unlimited funds. What smoker do you bring to that element at your farm? Like, what do you bring?
I bring like Tootsie pit, like this one, this brick and mortar or metal pit, you know, this one with the lid. I call it Tootsie Pits, you know, like snow style, old school. That one for sure, for steak and stuff like that. Second one, offset smoker for sure. And also, I gotta tell you, a Bewley, the Bewley, A.M. Bewley's, and I have a review on my Texicana BBQ channel. A.M. Bewley, it's surprisingly a good smoker. Like for a cabinet, if you want to semi-automated, you know, because sometimes you can go semi-automated. That is another interesting smoker. In my opinion, better than JNR in terms of airflow and so forth. Because I cook with JNR a lot. Usually, the consulting that I do is my average setup is, you know, depending brisket, only offset smoker. Any other meat you can do in a automated or semi-automated. That is what works for me. So depending how many volume of brisket I'm cooking, I'm gonna get 1 or 2, 1,000 gallon or 500, whatever. And then an automated, semi-automated for the rest.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
What was the offset you said again? What was the name of it?
Which one?
When you said an offset, but I didn't hear the name.
The Bewley, no, the Bewley's is a cabinet. Before.
Right, but the one you said before that.
Okay, no, that was Austin Smokework.
Oh, Austin Smokework.
Yeah.
What would you get? A thousand gallon or 500?
Yeah, no. The offset. Usually with the offset, I like the fully insulated. Depends also where you are, and they're all great. I mean, they have this. They brought the you know the pit making to an art form. You know, motor, backline, all these people. They really did a great job. They really, you know, there is a slight difference between one another, but they're all right there.
Yeah.
And so yeah. A fully insulated for sure, and then depends also. Yeah, an offset. You gotta decide what kind of how deep are your pockets, because they are offered for 3,000 and offered for 50,000. You know, but now they're getting pricey. They're getting pricey because they're putting more and more into it. Fully insulated, double insulation, and the smokestack with the elbow and so forth. Now there's if you notice, there's more research about material. What's the best material to make the offset? So there is a propane tank, but was smokestack in a certain material and so forth, you know, firebox and so forth. So that's why they're getting more and more fancier and expensive, you know. Okay.
And is there a basic recipe you could share with us that on to cook something? Is there maybe a basic rib recipe for St. Louis? You know, spare ribs or
the ribs? The ribs. Well, there's not much more I can say about whatever is on my YouTube already. I'm probably gonna make a new ribs video, pork ribs video in different, just different, slightly different, because the ribs you can do up to 4 hour, low and slow. I'm talking about like 4 hour, 4.5, up to 6 hour, and there is some changes in there of consistency and so forth. My favorite one, my go-to, is like 4.5 hour, 2.5 in foil, naked, a good hour in foil. Depending, and half an hour. I don't like to cook too much with the sauce, with the barbecue sauce into the foil.
And that's running at 275?
Yeah, around 275. Maybe I lower it down when I open the foil and I sauce them. The sauce must be runny. You know, if you make it too much thick sauce, it's gonna be all kind of gonna crumbled up and get too much smoke and burn. And maybe when at the time that the sauce is drying up, I can lower it down at that point. It's not even, the rib is not even cooking. It's just letting
just set the sauce.
Yeah, usually all the recipes are very simple. They're very simple. You just gotta know. You gotta know your fire. You gotta know your smoke. And then one thing about me, I rarely cook the same way. I think I've changed since I published the video. I changed cooking the brisket another 5 times probably. You know, and I did that a year ago, because there's always adjustment and this and that. Yeah. And also hanging out with other people. That's why I'm a guy who always hang out. It also helps you, you know. Or just to have the chat with barbecue people. Maybe you get a couple of concepts. Oh, let me try that, you know, and I maybe implement or make it more simple. For sure, my style through the years, it got simpler and simpler and simpler and simpler. There's more and more less steps that I do that I used to. But I'm trying to tell people, you know, is that simple stuff are the best one, because you can have direct control between the few elements, which is you, the fire, and the meat. The less bullshit
Right.
you have in the middle, usually the better it is for barbecue.
Right. So, so here's one thing I want to ask you specifically about brisket. I've seen it shared on your story sometimes. So I know this isn't like a secret, but putting the tallow over the brisket before you wrap it in butcher paper is
Yeah, I mean, tallow
is that
used to be like I always said, if you got to do stuff that if makes sense. So the sense of tallow has the ability, the capacity of moisturizing a little bit. Now, if you burn your brisket, you can soak it in tallow all night. It's not gonna happen. It's nothing gonna happen. But in the eventualities that you run your pizza a little bit too fast, and you have crispy edges, putting tallow right there, it might help a little bit. You know, problem is that people love secrets, and really there is not much secret, but there are action that you're gonna take depending. So really, tallow, it doesn't make a guy who used tallow very cool. It's just because you're fixing a mistake, really. You know. So if I see that the edges are a little bit crispy, I just put a little bit of tallow. You don't put tallow, it's gonna make much difference. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, if you use it or not using it, there's not much difference. If you spritz the butcher paper with apple cider or you don't, it's not much different. If you do your sliming with mustard or you don't, it's not much difference. Now, if you pull it instead of 3 hours after you put the brisket, you know, you pull after 6 hours, there is a big difference, you know. So there are priorities into the cooks. But yeah, tallow is good in general, you know, to confit anything if you want to cook, whatever you want to cook, beef ribs, all high collagens. Meat likes to be confit for a long period of time, like for beef chicks, for example, whatever, also buco, oxtail, whatever. Right. That helps.
So your brisket comparison, the prime and the choice. So your recommendation or what you did with the choice was you cooked it faster, higher heat. Is that the one you did hot and fast, the choice one?
Yeah, I start thinking about hot and fast and not hot and fast, choice and prime. So Clay, is a good friend of mine, he works as Nose. So now Nose is the #1 rated in Texas, but for the Texas Monthly, which is, you know, everybody like to be named on Texas Monthly and so forth. So they were the #1. They are the #1. And they cook only choice and select. Now, start get you thinking, how this guy, they can have the best brisket, according to Texas Monthly, that maybe some people like better other places, whatever. But just saying, everybody agrees they have a hell of a good barbecue. Let's put it that way. Now, who's #1, #2, that doesn't matter. So, and I start thinking, and I saw the way they cook it, you know, and I have a video actually with Clay on my YouTube. Clay explained. I had a chat with Toots, I had a chat with Carrie, great people. So where Clay explained their way of doing it. So after that, we had the conversation. I will start playing with brisket, you know, and I noticed that in general, you can go hot and fast or you can go low and slow. I found the hot and fast maybe not as hot as I went, you know, because hot and fast, it could be a tricky technique. But if you go, you know, if you go even a little bit slower, you can go also low and slow, completely low and slow. It usually the brisket come out good. And so my question was a reverse science. How is that to come out good? And I start studying and searching what happened, and the response is connective tissue. Because if you play around with the connective tissue, it almost gives you the illusion of the meat being so tender because of connective tissue, you know, not because of fat. So when you slice the brisket right on when it's hot and the connective tissue is still melting, still moving, you're really gonna have the impression that is moist, is super moist, you know, and that's why as Nose they cut with the electric knife, you know, because they serve the brisket hotter than normal, you know. So technically, the main point is that a choice, it does not like to rest for a very long time. And if you think about what happened, it makes a lot of sense, you know, because there's not much fat to support the rest.
Right.
You know, that was basically the point. Then also, always on YouTube, it's hard to have a full view of whatever you're talking about. You know, that was just a technique, but there are another 5,500 techniques that could be applied. You know? So, but the point was, you know, everybody's going crazy to buy more expensive meat, and fattier meat, which really what's important over there is how you break the connective tissue. Because no matter how
Right.
the brisket is prime or choice or whatever it is, if it's tight, it's tight. And it's tight not much because of the fat, but because of the connective tissue that has to break. You know?
Okay.
So,
Nice.
no.
Nice. Yeah, I mostly cook Angus choice here. Sometimes lower end prime, you'll find it at Sam's Club or Costco or something, but that's mainly what I cook. And like you said, I don't think I've ever cooked, back to back the same exact way. Like you're always tweaking something, adding, taking away, and like you said, it seems like the less steps and the less this and the less that, it turns out better. So it's very interesting. So just wrap it up here. Let everybody know how to find you on all the different social media platforms. If somebody comes across this, oh, there you go. If somebody comes across this and wants to take you up on consulting, let them know the best way to get a hold of you. Go ahead. This is your chance to.
I have a website, TexicanaBBQ.com, but nowadays, nobody goes to the website anymore. So Instagram is a great place. On YouTube, I have the most content in terms of explaining, video about brisket, about very much whatever is about barbecue cooking, offset reviews, all about that. So that's I organize a little bit better my YouTube. Before I was just throwing stuff in there. Now I'm trying to post whatever if I can, one time a week at least. Come up with one video a week. So there's going to be a lot of content over there. It is mainly barbecue and talking about smokers, but mainly barbecue. I would say 70% barbecue, and then there's all like a smoker section. Sometimes I throw in there how to make mozzarellas, how to make pizza, how to make bread, how to make stuff, but it's mainly barbecue.
Right.
And that's for my YouTube, Texicana BBQ. Then on Instagram, I have all my, my everyday, and on Facebook, I also have a page, Texicana BBQ, and actually on Facebook, my page I think is more interesting than Instagram because sometimes I go live, and which I do not do very much on Instagram, just because when I go live is more catching up with my Italian friends, and Italian people, they do not watch too much Instagram. They're more like Facebook related content,
Okay. Yeah, I've seen a few of your videos. The one you did at what was that? Where you did the was it the pastrami or the corned beef ribs?
Yeah.
When you went live at that one guy's house. But all right. Well, thanks for doing the interview, Max. It was great to sit down with you and talk. And, if you're ever in California, if you're ever near LA and, you want to grace me with your presence,
for sure.
My doors are open, and maybe I could change your mind about cooking on a pellet cooker one day. Maybe I can cook you something. Maybe I can cook you something that'll change your. Right. Anyway. All right. Thanks, Max. You take care. Ciao. All right. So that was Max with Texicana Barbecue. Thank you, everybody, for watching.